Hi, this is Nick George with Clouds Diamond Sharpening. I'm just going to show you a video on clipper blades and everything you need to know about a clipper blade. We're going to talk about ceramics, talk about oiling, talk about adjustment, putting them together, what the parts do, what they're called, and how to get your blades sharpened. So let's go down to the table and enjoy this wonderful adventure. Okay, so this is a clipper blade. This is a comb. This is the cutter. This cuts, but this also needs shape to it, and we'll talk about shape later, because it needs to match this shape to cut evenly and correctly all the way 100% across every tooth. This is a guide, this little plastic piece. This is a spring. This is a socket. Let's take this apart and take a look at it. Okay, so this little piece is the socket. What the socket does is the hinge goes under the socket to hold it, but these little ears here go around the hinge so it keeps it from rattling. This is a spring. The spring, it holds the tension. What that means is it holds pressure from the cutter blade to the comb blade. And that causes heat if there's too much tension. So you want the correct amount of tension. We'll talk about that. This is a cutter. It cuts the hair. It's the blade that moves. If this blade is ever hanging over this blade, like this, it will cut you. So you never want it there. You want it a little behind. Even if it's a 40 or a 50 blade, a trimming blade, anything. Zero gap, you still want it moved back just a hair so you can see the little bits of light in between each tooth. You want to see that or it's going to cut your skin. Okay, now if it's hanging over on a 10 blade, well, it doesn't reach over the comb, so it may not cut you, but what's going to happen is it's going to move hair around before it cuts the hair and bend it, and then you'll get longer hairs and it will cut unevenly and you just won't like your job as much. So this cutter blade, this one's ceramic. We sharpen ceramics because we use harder than ceramic material, which is diamond. We can sharpen metal ones, and what we do is we carve the inside out here very lightly, like so much you can't even see, but it's there. And then when that shape goes flat or goes away and the whole blade becomes flat, like if you sharpened on a block, well, it's going to go dull very soon. So if you use a block, yes, a block will get you through the cut, but it's gonna, not work for very long at all. And that's a guarantee because we put shape in it and it's proven that our sharpening lasts the longest. I'm not saying other people don't have shape on their wheels and their blades won't last. I'm saying that's what we try to do our best at. I have to resurface my wheels so they give these blades shape, because if I was sharpening on a block, which would be much cheaper and easier, we could do that, but you guys would be coming back every week or so, and that's no way to run your business. So what we perfect is the shape and how long they last. Plus, we want the lightest tension, so it causes the least amount of heat but still cuts. So we sharpen both sides of the blade, so any blade that can be disassembled we can sharpen, and we will sharpen. So let's talk about putting this blade together. This is the guide. These are bad. your blade may not cut if this is bad. First of all, there's a little space it provides, and it's metal on metal if you don't, or ceramic, and it'll damage your cutter blade and make a lot of noise, and it probably won't cut very good, and it will leave lines because it won't be able to stay on there correctly. This fits the gap so it doesn't wobble. So you need the guides on here. If your guides are melting, your tension is too hot, or you're using your blade for too long. So let's put this together. Okay, this is completely apart. We're in trouble. No, we're not. We're gonna handle this in this video, I promise. So what I do is take the ears of the socket and slide it in between the spring, like so. Push it back to where you can see the holes. Then I rest this on my middle finger. Why do I do that? Because I can adjust these holes just by looking with my finger. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna take this comb blade and I'm gonna flip it on here and then move my middle finger around until I see the holes in there and they're through the spring. So now that I can see all the holes, I put the screw in. Look at that, goes right in there. Put this screw in, goes right in there. We're gonna tighten it up. Tighten it up. It's pretty snug. You can't get your fingers under here. So turn it back a quarter of a turn. Quarter of a turn. Now I can get my finger under here. That's great. Oh, it doesn't hold adjustment. That's fine because we're not adjusting it yet. We're just putting it together. So then we're going to put the cutter blade underneath the guide or the spring and slide it together. Look at that. It's all sideways. That's not good. So what we're going to do is move it back. So now if you notice, I lined this tooth up with this tooth and they're the same distance. So now we're going to line the teeth up here. And how do I tell? Because there's a little, I can move the teeth around, and then there's a little bit of a shiny spot. I can see right there, and I can see right there, and they're equally distanced away from each other. That means the blade is straight. That's what you want. Sometimes you can line it up from the back of the guide to the platform of the comb blade, but you know, sometimes they may not. The teeth might be uneven, like manufacturer defect. I have no idea, but I tend to not line them up that way. I tend to go by the teeth, because if the teeth are equal over here and equal over here, then it's the most equal in the middle it can get. So what that means is it's going to be straight. It's going to not leave a side hawk, is what I call it. So what I do now is I take the blade, I flip the teeth towards me, and then I put it down on the table. Why do I do this? Because I don't want these teeth stabbing into my hand, okay? So now I tighten it up. Tight, nice and tight, okay? I flip the blade to the teeth facing up, and I tighten this one. Nice and tight, okay? So now I bring it up. Uh-oh. I messed up. So what that means is this tooth has more light than this tooth. There's more shiny spot. That's not good. That's gonna leave a side hawk. So if I wanna bring this side down, I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this side a quarter of a turn. A quarter of a turn. What I do is I slide it down. Okay, so now it's still a little uneven. We're gonna even it up. There. So now it's even, I think. Yes, now it's even. You can also look down the teeth. Look down the teeth and see the line straight. So now it's straight. So now all I do is tighten it back up. Okay? So now it's straight. No matter where I move this blade, it's gonna stay straight. So I want to clean my blade, okay? So I slide it like this, I clean it with a brush, and then I slide it back in, and I slide it the other way halfway and clean it with a brush. You can also measure the height of your tension like this by sliding this much out and putting it on a scale and seeing how many pounds it says. Whatever the pounds say is how much pounds are on your blade. We go 1.5 to 2.5 at the most of pressure. That's our goal, is because it's going to cause the least amount of heat. So now if you get a bad sharpener, he's going to have a lot of tension. Why does he have a lot of tension? It causes more heat, right? Well, I agree with you. So maybe it's him messing up sharpening, or his sharpening wheel is not surfaced correctly to give the correct amount of hollow out of the blade, and it's giving too much, so he overcompensates by tightening the tension. And when you tighten the tension, it pushes the blade down harder, it goes duller faster, it gets hotter faster, plus it tears up your clippers. And if you're having a problem with your clippers, you know, getting tore up, it's because you don't oil, or it's because your tension's too tight. Because clippers will run without a blade virtually forever until they get carbon built up in the motor and they have to be cleaned. Every clipper has to be maintained eventually. They need to be cleaned. Okay, so let's get back to this blade though. We're getting off the subject. I got plenty of other videos that show you tips and tricks and education to keep your equipment running at 100%. So now I just want to adjust this blade. We'll just go back a quarter of a turn, go back a quarter of a turn, and now we can adjust it. We can move it anywhere we want. You can move it back. It's better to be too far back from the teeth because it just won't cut that close, rather than be over the teeth. Because if it's over the teeth, like I said, it's gonna leave lines. That's bad. So we'll tighten this back up, and now it's straight, okay? With about, there's probably 2 pounds of pressure on this. We could test it later and see if I'm right, but I'm pretty sure it's 1.5 to 2 now. It feels pretty perfect. Okay, so now let's oil the blade. We're gonna oil the blade, put a little oil across that, a dot back there, and a dot back there to keep it from melting and keep this from wearing out more than wearing out up over here. Because if you don't oil the back here, well then what happens is the blade tends to go out faster. You want to keep these even. If they're even, the two running surfaces, then you get more cuts out of your blade. I have some customers that have 20-year-old blades and they're still getting them sharpened. They keep them oiled, they get them sharpened. They don't have to worry about them not cutting because they're always going to cut. So if your blades are having problems rattling on the clipper, like left to right like that, it's these ears here. You'll need to replace the socket or get an adjustment of the socket, which means you will need pliers and you will squeeze the sockets together. Please don't do this if you don't know how to use pliers. I don't want you to hurt yourself, but you could squeeze these ears a little bit, just a little bit. They might break off if they're brittle, especially if the blade's been rattling a while. It's just knocking these little ears off, and you're gonna have to replace the socket. If you're the blade rattling has nothing to do with this gap. You could tighten that gap, you can loosen that gap. I can shove a screwdriver in this gap and loosen it, and it's still not gonna rattle if these teeth are right. There's a myth going around that if you tighten this down or tighten the screws, they'll stop rattling. That is not the case. That is false news. Fact check that. So basically, that's all you need to know about a clipper blade. We sharpen clipper blades. We put shape on them so they cut the longest. We'll go ahead and test this blade. I haven't sharpened it in a while, but it cuts because I sharpened it. Oh, well, someone unplugged my clipper. Okay, so turn your clipper on and snap your blade on. It's better to snap a blade on while the clipper is running. It's better for the commutator, and what happens is it leaves little black marks on the commutator, and then your clipper may not start up and you have to get the commutator clean. You may need brushes faster. There'll be more carbon in your motor. It's always better to run. And also because this lever sometimes doesn't line up to the cutter, and see, it won't snap down. Then I have to adjust it, and then it snaps down. Hear that snap? You want it to snap. If your clippers don't snap, you may be a barber. Same difference. You still want it all the way down. It won't snap because you have a different hinge, because you don't go through as much thick coat, so you don't need this type of hinge. Now, does this hinge hurt you? No, it does not. You can have this hinge if you want, and it will work just great. Probably better than a barber hinge. The barber hinges are cheaper, and that's probably why they do it. So turn it on, snap it on, push, 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 until it snaps. Now it's latched. See, I can't lift this blade. If you're a barber and you can just lift this blade with ease, that's a big problem. You're gonna pull hair. It's probably leaving lines. It's probably not cutting very good. But anyway, so that's about it for clipper blades. So send them on to us. We sharpen them all, wide ones, ceramic ones. We can sharpen scissors and fix almost any clipper. I can fix any clipper. If you have parts, I 100% can fix it. If I can get parts, I 100% can fix it. And it will save you money and keep your clipper running. Remember to oil your blades and keep these clippers nice, moving with ease. Because like I can run this clipper for almost ever and it will never stop running. Like, I mean, it will, don't take that literally. But what I'm saying is like, these clippers are meant to run. And if this blade is easy to move, this clipper runs easy. So thank you for this wonderful adventure. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day. Bye.